My name is Katie Whelan, and today I'm going to be analysing Alexander Graham Bell's invention, the telephone. So what is the telephone? Alexander Graham Bell's invention is a modified version of the telegraph. A telegraph is a system for transmitting messages from a distance along a wire. Bell's patented telephone design is similar to the telegraph, but instead it transmits sound. At first glance, can you tell what it is? Honestly, no. At first glance, I thought it was something you look through. It does not resemble the telephones or mobiles you see everywhere nowadays. The design, style, and technology of the telephone have changed dramatically over the years, so much that it was surprising to find out that this was the look and design of the first telephone invented. The telephone consists of two main parts, the transmitter and receiver. The transmitter and receiver each contain a diaphragm, which is a round metal disc. During a phone call, the sound waves of the caller's voice cause the diaphragm and the transmitter to vibrate. This motion is transferred along the phone line to the receiver. The receiving diaphragm vibrates according to the speaker's speech pattern and produces the sound waves that were sent into the transmitter. Is it new technology? The telephone is a modified version of the telegraph. The purpose of the harmonic telegraph was to transmit several messages over a single telegraph wire at the same time without interference. The main difference was that Alexander Graham Bell's telephone could transmit sound. What is it made of? The telephone consists of a transmitter, receiver, a magnet, a single microphone, stationary speaking tube, many wires, and it can also contain other materials such as glass, ceramics, paper, metals, rubber, or plastic. What is the style of the object? It is clear that the function and how the person would use the telephone was the main inspiration for the style and look of the phone. Thomas Edison introduced a model that had a movable listening earpiece and a stationary speaking tube. It is not necessary for the technology to take this shape and form. The evolution of the design of the telephone has transformed over the years, and this proves how the shape and form can differ from the original telephone design. As long as there is enough distance between the receiver and transmitter so that the user can hear the caller through the receiver and still be able to talk into the transmitter, then it will work successfully. One main factor that would influence the style would be the user. Age and disabilities would change the style of the phone. For example, telephones for the blind and hearing impaired have been created. With the new smartphones, you can go hands-free and command the virtual assistant to call people, send messages, and so on. There are phones with larger buttons for older generations. Who is the maker of the object? Alexander Graham Bell's patent for his invention of the telephone was issued on March 7, 1876 by the U.S. Patent Office. Nowadays, there are many companies that create phones, such as Apple, Samsung, Nokia, Google, BlackBerry, and so on. Bell was in the city of Brantford, Ontario, Canada, where he was working on a harmonic telegraph at Watson. A reed struck on Watson's transmitter, and an intermittent current was converted to a continuous current. Bell was able to hear sound on his receiver. This confirmed his belief that sound could be transmitted and reconverted through an electric wire using a continuous electric current. How does this object tell you about the person who made it? The object reveals that the creator expressed an interest in speech, hearing, and communication. Furthermore, this object shows that they were interested in the development of communication technology at the time. This object allows the user to communicate with another human at a distance. Gardiner Hubert and Thomas Sanders funded Bell's invention. Hubert saw great promise in the harmonic telegraph and backed Bell's experiments. He agreed that Bell could develop his telephone concept as long as he devoted most of his time to the harmonic telegraph. Additionally, another main stakeholder is the customer because they have influence over the style, design, function, and features of the telephone. In what way is the object valuable? The telephone is considered valuable because it allows communication at a great distance. At the time, the telegraph and letters were the main sources for communicating at a distance. With the development of technology, people can communicate to someone in another town or country or even the other side of the world. Since the first telephone was created, the customers and competitors have grown. With the growth and development of technology, this product is in demand. The customers and competitors have influence over the design and technology of the phone. There are more competitors who put pressure on phone companies to develop something new for their phone. The latest phones have so many features that they are basically little computers in your hand. The main function of the telephone is to communicate with another person at a distance. In today's society, phones have many functions such as researching content online, playing music, games, videos, and communicating with others. People can text, call, email, send a Snapchat, or tweet someone. Society has become accustomed to this distance and uses the phone as their main way of communicating with others. Does it have monetary value? According to the independent.co.uk, the number of active phone devices is around 7.22 billion. This means that there are more phones than people in the world. With phone companies producing new models, there is a high revenue income because phones are in demand. People want the latest technology and are willing to pay a high price for it. How the telephone has changed society. The telephone has shaped the way we communicate with one another. With the use of phone, you can communicate with another person at a distance. However, as a society, we have become dependent on the phone, and we use it as a barrier from other people. We rather communicate through a screen than talk face to face. We are alone together. If you look at a group of people at the bus stop, or in the pub, or even look at a group of friends, you are guaranteed to see some of them on their phones. We are slowly losing our ability to talk to one another, and have become socially awkward. We can't go more than a few minutes without checking our phones. With texting, you have control of what you want to say and when you want to say it. Furthermore, you can edit it, and maybe even delete it. Conversations happen in real time. There is no editing or deleting. And maybe that's why we fear communicating face to face. Instead, we prefer talking through a screen. As a society, we have this need to filter everything. We Photoshop images, manipulate voice recordings, and edit what we text until we are satisfied with it. Even right now, I'm recording this multiple times so I can select the best take. Because of phones, we have this desire to filter how we communicate with one another. But we need to learn that you cannot put a filter on real-life conversations. Without a doubt, the technology of the telephone will definitely continue growing. Younger generations are introduced to phones from as young as babies because it is used as a distraction. All we could do now is watch our screens to see how we are slowly losing the ability to communicate with one another. In the end, everything will be on a screen. I'm Katie Whelan, and thank you for listening.